Welcome! It's time to go to school on the Korg X3 Power Music Workstation. During the past few years, Korg has taken over the position at the top with the introductions of the M, the T, and the 01 series music workstations. Now with the introduction of the X3 and X3R Power Music Workstations, the amazing sound quality and awesome power of the O series instruments are available at a fraction of the cost, while still delivering features such as 32-voice polyphony, the ability to assign up to 8 separate sounds across the keyboard in splits and layers, 164 high-quality percussion sounds, 2 effects processors, each with 47 studio-quality effects that are dynamically controllable through MIDI, conformance to the general MIDI standard, and a full-featured 16-track sequencer with a disk drive. Lance Abair has become well known to musicians across the United States, doing clinics and MIDI seminars. Lance's straight-ahead, non-technical explanations have helped countless musicians to get the most out of their MIDI equipment. Now you have Lance in your own personal MIDI studio, ready to show you the ins and outs of your all-new Korg X3 Power Music Workstation. It's recommended that you have your X3 hooked up and ready to go as Lance walks you through this fine musical instrument.
Hi, my name is Lance Abair, and I'd like to congratulate you on your purchase of a Korg X3 Power Music Workstation. The X3 is available in a 61-note keyboard version and in a rack module called the X3R. With this video, I'd like to help you become acquainted with the X3 and the X3R by walking you through the basics, covering the subjects that new owners want to know about as soon as they get their new instrument home. From my many experiences as a product specialist, I found that what most people want to know immediately is how to get around on the instrument, how to select sounds, how to sequence, how to set up the keyboard to work with an external sequencer or computer in multi-timbral mode, and how to use a disk drive to load and save data. I want to keep this video as down-to-earth as possible instead of being technical, more in the manner of a personal training session. So I'll deal with the material in sections so you can go back and work on it one part at a time. Also, if I start to go a little too fast, you can always pause, stop, and rewind to go back over the material. You can control your own pace. I'd also recommend that you have your new instrument plugged into the wall and running while you watch this video so that you can follow me as I go through the different procedures. One thing I've noticed in talking with people about their new instruments, many bought their new instrument because of a couple of features they needed and because of a few special sounds that happened to excite them. The sad thing is that they might not have a clue as to the extent of the product's true capabilities and therefore will never be able to use them. You don't use what you don't know about. Because of this, I'm going to take a minute to tell you about the many things your X3 can do for future reference. You might not need to utilize all these features now, but if the need arises in the future, you'll at least know about them and can dig into your manual to find out how. Sounds. With 128 general MIDI programs, 8 general MIDI drum kits, 200 more Korg programs, and 200 combinations, you have a total of 536 sounds. The sequencer. The X3 sequencer has 16 tracks with an additional tempo track that can be used for tempo and meter changes. The memory is 32,000 events. You can have up to 10 songs in memory. A single X3 disc can store up to 320,000 notes worth of sequence data. The X3 has the same powerful event editing features as the Korg 01W series of workstations and a few improvements. I'll touch on these later. Drum kits. There are 164 drum and percussion sounds used in the 12 drum kits of the X3. These drum kits run the musical gamut from rap, rock, jazz, country, or classical. You can edit the drum kits yourself and change each individual drum sound. Combinations. Your X3's keyboard can be split or layered up to 8 ways. Effects. There are 2 effects processors in the X3 capable of providing up to 4 effects simultaneously. Each processor has 47 effects algorithms to choose from. Standard MIDI files. The X3 reads and writes standard MIDI files. This means that you can load and play sequences that have been created on other hardware and software sequencers. There are also many new companies marketing sequences in standard MIDI format that you can load directly into your X3. Data filing. You can use your X3 to load and save data from other MIDI instruments. This turns the X3 into a powerful MIDI librarian for managing sound libraries. For instance, you could dump the sequencer memory from an M1 into your X3 and save it to a disk. You can also load and save sysx data from other MIDI devices. Compatibility with the O3R card library. To hear the O3RW's program card sounds, they have to first be loaded into the X3's internal memory. This is because the O3RW program cards use a different format. I'll show you how to do this later. When you open the box for your new instrument, you'll find that it also contains a 3.5-inch floppy disk, the power cord, the owner's manual, a tutorial guide, performance notes, and your warranty registration card. Make sure that you fill out your registration card and send it to Korg immediately. This card not only establishes your warranty, but also gives Korg the ability to contact you with information on any future updates or products. Before we go any further, you need a 3.5-inch double-sided, double-density disc that you can use as we go through this video. The X3 can be hooked up a variety of ways. One way could be something as basic as your home stereo hooked up running from the left and right outputs of the X3 into the left and right auxiliary inputs of your receiver using a stereo cord like this. It has 1/4-inch plugs on one end and RCA male connectors on the other end. You could just as easily use a couple of small speakers with built-in amplifiers. Also, don't forget that the X3 has a headphone jack. By the way, as I go through various procedures, you should be aware that everything I do on the X3 also applies to the X3R rack module. All of the controls on the X3 are included on the front panel of the X3R, although their placement is different. Let's talk about the disc that came in your X3's box. This double-sided, double-density disc contains all the X3's program data, including 5 great demo sequences. Important, don't worry. People who are not used to newer technology sometimes worry that they might accidentally push a wrong button, slide a slider, or otherwise do something to break their new instrument. Yes, if you drop the X3 into a cauldron of boiling oil, you could cause some damage. But any slip of your finger during some procedure might goof up what you're trying to do, but will not damage the instrument. In fact, you're always able to get the X3 back to the way it came out of the box simply by loading all data from your factory disk. In fact, let's do that right now. Insert the factory disk into the disk drive with the label facing up and the sliding metal shutter toward the X3. Push it in until it clicks into place. Press the disk button and then press function button number 1. The screen should read 1A, load all, with the word directory and a blinking OK message. Whenever you see something blinking in the display, this means that it's been highlighted and is able to be changed or responded to. Since disks can contain many files, we need to look at the disk directory to find the file we want to load. We'll do this by pressing the Yes Value button. The display will change to say, wait a moment, and then change again to show file names. The file name X3P load appears in the display. This is an abbreviation for X3 factory preload data. Now press the cursor right button to highlight OK, and then press the Yes button to start loading the X3P file. You'll be asked, are you sure? So say yes again, and the display will read, now loading PCG, and then it'll change to SNG. These are the abbreviations for program, combination, global, and song data. When finished loading, the display will read completed. That's all you have to do to get your X3 sounding the way it came out of the box. Your X3 comes loaded with 5 great demo sequences. To hear them, press the sequencer button on the front panel. This will access the sequencer section in your display screen showing the name of the first song. A word of warning. Before playing any of these sequences, you should first adjust the volume of your playback system to a very low level and then move it up to a comfortable listening level. The reason for this is that the output of the X3 is very high. It's possible to accidentally damage your sound system, if not your own hearing, if you send too strong a signal through it. With your keyboard's master volume slider set at about 3/4 of the way up, bring your amplifier's volume up slowly and carefully to a comfortable, safe listening level. Now for the music. The demo sequences are already set up to play back in order, so all you have to do is to press the Start-Stop button to start the music. Here we go. The X3 disk drive uses a DOS format. It's a smart move to make a backup of your factory disk. By doing this, you'll learn the procedure for formatting and saving your own work. First, you need a blank disk. The X3's disk drive uses 3.5-inch double-sided double-density disks. These disks are available everywhere at low prices. Buy a box of 10 and you'll be covered for a long time. Before we back up the factory disk, we have to first prepare the new disk to receive it. We do this by formatting it. Formatting erases all the data on a disk and prepares it for the particular system that your instrument uses. To format a disk, do the following. Insert a new disk into the disk drive. Push the disk button. Press function button number 8 to access the Format Disk page. At the bottom right of the screen is a blinking OK. Press the Yes button, and the screen will change to read, Are you sure? Say yes, and the screen will read, Now formatting. The disk drive will start to work, and the green light on the drive will light up. This procedure will take a while. While this is happening, I'll explain exactly what data a disk can contain. One double-sided, double-density disk can contain up to 10 files. A file can contain program, combination, and global data, or sequencer data, or all, which consists of program, combination, global, and sequencer data. Obviously, an all file will contain more information than any other type of file, so you won't be able to save 10 all files to a single disk. You can save 10 files of program, combination, and global data, or 10 sequence files, or a mixture of all types. For instance, the Korg USA X3 Power Disk contains 3 files containing all data and 4 files containing programs, new combinations, and global data. One way to think of this is that an all file takes up 2 file spaces. You can also use the X3's disk drive as a data filer to store programs from other MIDI instruments. Now let's get back to our formatted disk. The word completed now appears on the screen, and we're now ready to back up our disk. Since we want to save all data from the X3, including the sequencer memory, we need to press function button 3, the Save All page. We'll write in a name for our backup file in the bottom of the display. Using the left and right cursor buttons to move from side to side and the value slider and buttons to select letters, we'll name our file Backup. Now move the cursor over to OK to confirm it. Say yes. The display will change to say, wait a moment, and then ask if we're sure. We are, so answer this OK with another yes. When finished, a blinking word completed will appear in the display. Note, never remove a disk while loading, formatting, or saving is in progress, since you could cause damage to your disk. Label the disk and put it away. Important. As with all computer disks, be sure to keep them away from magnetic fields such as those found around speakers or transformers. These fields can damage the data on your disks. The first thing you see on the X3 is its front panel. Let's take some time to acquaint you with how to get around on this instrument. At the top left is the master volume slider. It controls the overall volume of the instrument as well as the headphones. Directly below the master volume slider is the joystick. This small spring-loaded lever has many functions, but I'll outline just the main ones in this section. Left-right motion is for pitch bend. Moving it away from you usually produces vibrato, and moving it toward you usually changes the effect settings. Listen as I use the joystick on program A04, Spruce Guitar, for both pitch bend and vibrato, and then pull it backward toward me to add more reverb. The joystick on the X3 is a versatile and indispensable musical tool. Up and to the right from the joystick are the 8 function buttons. These multi-purpose buttons enable you to change anything from page numbers to sequencer functions to live performance edit choices. I'll be using them as shortcuts throughout this video. Pressing the reset button rewinds the sequencer to the beginning measure. The Record Write button can be used to switch the sequencer into Record Ready status. It can also be used to write a program or combination into the X3's memory. The Start Stop button starts and stops the sequencer. Next to the right of the function buttons are the 8 mode buttons. At the top left is the Combi button, which selects the combination mode. Combinations are usually keyboard splits and layers and/or velocity switches that can use up to 8 programs. Here's an example of multiple splits with velocity switching. Combination A54, Velo chord. Underneath Combi is the Program button, which chooses Program mode. These are usually single sounds. Next is the Sequencer button, which selects the sequencer mode. Below is the Bank button for moving through sound banks. There are 3 internal program banks, A, B, and GM. GM stands for General MIDI. Next to the Combi button is the Edit button. Pressing this after selecting the Program, Combination, or Sequence mode buttons will take you to the editing section for each respective mode. For instance, press the Sequencer mode button. Now press the Edit button. The word Edit appears in the top left-hand corner, and I'm now in the Sequencer Edit mode. By pressing the up and down cursor buttons, I can easily move through the Sequencer Edit pages. Now press the Global button and Function button 1. Let's talk about the Global mode. This is the utility mode of the X3. On page 1A, we can tune the instrument up or down by sense with the value up and down controls. Cursor up to page 1B, and we can transpose the keyboard up or down by semitones up to an octave either way. Now you can play in any key. Cursor up to 1C, where you can set the velocity and aftertouch curves for the keyboard. This affects how the X3 keyboard responds to your touch. Adjust it to your preference. Page 2A, we can choose any of 11 scale types, such as equal temperament, pure major, Arabic, and so forth. Page 3A is for setting the X3's global MIDI channel and for setting the sequencer to respond to its internal clock or that of an external MIDI instrument. By the way, the X3's combination sounds are all set to MIDI channel 1. If you change the global MIDI channel from one to another channel, you won't hear anything because the programs in the combination are waiting for information on channel 1. In Edit Combination mode, you can change the MIDI receive channel for each program in any combination to match that of the global MIDI channel. Page 3B is for setting the local keyboard to on or off. When using an external sequencer, it's recommended that you set your master keyboard to local off. Next to the right is the note receive filter. All is the setting for when you're using one X3. If you wanted to double the notes available, you could buy another X3 or X3R and set one to respond to odd numbered notes and the other to even notes and increase polyphony to 64 voices. 3C and D are for filtering program changes, aftertouch, control data, and system exclusive data. Pages 4A, B, and C let you memory protect your programs, combis, and sequences. 4D is page memory, a feature that works like a bookmark. As you navigate from mode to mode, it remembers the last page location that you were on, and even the cursor position is remembered. Turn it on, and we'll touch on this later. Page 5 is for system-exclusive dumps of programs, combis, sequences, drum kit setups, global, or everything at once. Pages 6A, B, C, and D are for saving and loading from cards. Pages 7A, B, and C are for editing and modifying drum kits. There are 2 RAM kits in Bank A and 2 more in Bank B. There are also 8 more drum kits stored in ROM in the General MIDI bank. Page 8A allows you to adjust the contrast of the LCD display. Watch as I use the value controls to change it. 8B is where you can assign functions to the programmable pedals and foot switches. Pedals that I'd recommend would be either the Korg DS1 or PS1 switch pedals to be used for damping and switching functions, and the Korg EXP2 pedal, which can function as a volume or MIDI controller pedal. The pedals can control up and down program numbers, starting and stopping the sequencer, sequence punch in and out, effect 1 or 2 on and off, scale switch, volume, expression, VDF cutoff, effect control, or data entry. Page 8C allows you to change the polarity of any damper pedal that's plugged into the X3. The disk mode is where you can load and save X3 data from disks and load and save system-exclusive data from other MIDI devices. Let me refer you to page 164 of the operating manual for a detailed explanation of each section of the X3's disk mode. We've already covered some basic load and save operations, but I want to deal with a couple more. Up until recently, it's been impossible to take a disk that was written in one manufacturer's sequencer and load it into another. Nobody spoke the same language. This problem is now a thing of the past with a standard MIDI file. You can load a sequence into your X3 that was saved onto a disk from a computer or hardware sequencer that supports standard MIDI files. Press the disk mode button and then function button 5 to get to the standard MIDI file page. Page 5A is the load directory page where you can see which standard MIDI files are on the disk. To have a look, say yes to the blinking OK. Use the value buttons to select different files. When you've selected the one you want to load, cursor right and select one of the 10 internal song locations you want to load the file into. Cursor right again to start the OK blinking and say yes. If you get a memory full message, you need to go into the sequencer mode and erase one or more songs to make more room. One more thing. Standard MIDI files that use the GM format must be converted in the sequencer mode. To do this, press Sequence, Edit, function button 8, and cursor up to 8F. And say yes twice. To save a sequence as a standard MIDI file, press the Disk button, function button 5, and cursor up to page 5B. Select the song you want to save, cursor to the right and give it a name. Cursor to the right again to select your file format. The choices are format 0 or 1. 1 is usually the preferred choice since it saves the song on a one-track per MIDI channel basis. Select format 1, cursor to the OK, and say yes. That's all there is to it. By the way, there are many companies who offer pro-quality sequences in standard MIDI format for live performance or multimedia applications. Underneath the disk button is the Compare button. While editing a program, combination, or sequence, you can easily compare your edit to the original data by pressing this button. For instance, after quantizing a sequence track, we could use the Compare button to switch the track back to its previous unquantized state to see which version sounds better. When you're in any mode of the X3, you can enter numeric values by using the numeric keypad and pressing the Enter button. For negative values, press the tens hold minus button first. Let's talk about how to select sounds on the X3. To choose a program, first press the Program Mode button, and then use the numeric keypad or the yes and no buttons to make your selection. Programs are grouped in banks. There's a GM bank, an A bank, and a B bank. Banks A and B each have 100 programs, while the GM bank has 136 programs. GM programs 129 to 136 are drum kits. You can use the bank button to select the different banks. The bank letter will always show up in the display. Let's choose program 78 from Bank B, Syn Brass 4. Press the Bank button to select Bank B and type 78 on the numeric keypad. Here's a great new shortcut that lets you quickly access sounds with a single button press. Press the tens hold key. You'll see a decimal in the display. Now when you press a number on the keypad, the first digit is unchanged. Now press the up and down value buttons, and you'll see the second digit is unchanged. As you may or may not know, Korg uses a vertical numbering scheme for program numbers. Program numbers ending with a 0 will have dramatic pad sounds. Program numbers ending with 1 will be keyboard sounds like pianos and organs. 2s will be for woodwinds and brass. 3s are for electric pianos. 4s are for guitars. 5 are for bells and tune percussion. 6s are for basses. 7s are for strings, voices, and other airy sounds. 8s are for aggressive synth sounds. And the 9s are primarily for percussion and rhythmic effects. You can use this shortcut in the combination mode as well. Basically, combinations are selected the same way as programs, except you have to first press the combination mode button. Remember, a combination can have up to 8 keyboard splits and layers. Disengage bank hold and select combination A08 Sax Heaven. You can always see how many timbres are being used in the upper part of the display. We can press the function buttons to see which program is being used in this combination. Timbre 1 is program G66, alto sax. Timbre 2 is G98, soundtrack, and so forth. This is a great shortcut. Now check this out. If you'd like to hear one of the timbres by itself, you can solo it by double-clicking on its timbre button. Let's solo Timbre 1 alto sax. The word solo appears near the top left of the display. When solo is being displayed, you can then single-click the other timbres to solo them as well. To exit the solo mode, double-click on any timbre button. While I'm at it, let me show you another great feature, Combination Play Edits. Click on Timbre 1 again, and notice that the display shows you the individual program's name, its bank and number, its level, panning assignment, and its MIDI channel. The 4 parameters can be edited without having to go into the combination edit mode. After changing the programs, levels, pannings, and so forth on the various timbres, I could overwrite this combination by pressing the Record Write button and answering OK with a yes. If you need to write the edit to a different location, press Edit, function button 8, and choose a different location by using the numeric keypad and the Enter button. Let's say you're recording or playing in a band. From time to time, you may need to make some slight adjustments to your sounds. The X3's 8 function buttons also serve as performance editors when you're in the program mode. These buttons let you quickly change octaves, brightness, attack and release times, volume level, velocity sensitivity, and the effect balance. This can all be accomplished without having to go into the edit mode. Here's some examples of how it works. First, select program A01, piano 16 feet. Press function button number 1 to change the octave with the up and down buttons. Now press function button 2 to change the filter. Listen to the changes in brightness. Now press function button number 8 to adjust the effects. This is a lot quicker than having to go into the edit mode to make these changes. And remember, these changes can also be written into memory by pressing the Record Write button.